Hello and welcome back to another build video in Warframe and Garuda. Garuda, the Gore Frame, and for a Gore Frame you would assume DPS. Well, not so much. She is a DPS, but when you put her up against other DPS frames such as Sarin, Ash, Banshee, she's a little and only a little bit lackluster, but what she lacks in DPS she makes up for quite handy in major burst damage, a little bit of team support, and a hell, and I do mean one hell of a lot of fun. She is some serious frame, and she is bloody well balanced as well for the current game content at the moment. So let's just have a look at her stats. At max, unmodded, health is 300, shield is 300, armor is 300, and energy is 270. It's a little bit less tanky than what I would like her to be, but she does make good use of it considering some of her abilities. So let's just have a quick overview of her abilities then, shall we? Ability 1 is Dread Mirror. Now this is actually a twofold ability. First of all, you press 1 and what you will do, you will pounce on an enemy dealing a little bit of damage and knocking them down. However, if this enemy is at or below 35% health, it instantly kills them regardless. From here, they are subject to ground finishers, which is quite handy. And after that, you gain this weird mirror thing, which is that weird circle thing you can see directly in front of me at all times. Near enough. Now, while this mirror is active, any damage that is directed at the mirror is completely mitigated. From what I can gather, this could be wrong, but it does seem to be that the damage itself is completely mitigated. However, you can still be hit from the sides and from the back, and it will not protect you from area effect abilities such as ground slams, etc, etc. Now, damage that hits this mirror is put up into a weird gore heart or something. You can't really see it. It's that weird pulsating thing at the top of the screen by the mirror, and this stacks up damage very similar to the way Equinox's main does. And then what you do is you can channel that damage that it has stored into your one ability again by holding down 1, and you then throw this at an enemy or a group of enemies. And at the moment for me this seems a bit hit and miss. There have been times where I have cleared an entire corridor due to the sheer mass of damage that it can produce, and there have been other times where I would assume it's been a direct hit, but it's done fuck all. On to ability number 2, and this is where Garuda gets a lot of her survivability from. Basically, aim at an enemy, you press 2 and you turn them into a blood altar, which is what this ability is actually called. You dash towards them, spiking them to the ground, and as long as you are within range, you drain their health, which can eventually kill them, which is a bit weird. This ability is actually quite handy. However, due to the way in which it scales with range, I actually wouldn't really say there's much point at using a lot of ability range, to be honest. I mean, I've got it at 100%, it's about 6 meters, and you could put an overextended on and it puts it to about 8 meters. So I wouldn't really say it's too good on range overall, but you know, that's just me. On to the third ability, and originally I actually thought this was absolutely useless, just put Hunter Adrenaline on, but this is actually quite handy, particularly if you're using your 1 and your 2 a lot. due to the way in which you are able to tank. Hunter Adrenaline does give you a decent amount of continuous energy, but quite often, due to the way in which you near enough need to continually spam her abilities to make her absolutely effective, it's not quite enough. So when you are near a blood altar and have your dread mirror up, it is quite often worthwhile to use the ability Bloodletting, and basically Garuda slashes herself with her talons, and she sacrifices roughly 50% of her health, and she gains energy, which is quite interesting. And this is actually affected by efficiency, so the more efficiency you have, it will always drain 50% of your health, but it can give you more energy the more efficiency you have, which it's kind of backwards as to how you would think it would work, but that's just me. Anyway, on to her final ability, and this is 1, awesome, 2, a bit of a letdown, and I'll get to that in a minute. Basically, you then have Seeking Talons, and you can either just quickly press 4 and you get a small reticle and you send out this massive burst of talons in a very small area, or you can channel it, which I'm not sure if you just noticed that weird red aura and it grows across the screen. That's basically the area of effect of this ability. The longer you hold down 4, the larger the conical effect of the ability. Now, I haven't quite figured out at what power strength you need to hit 100% status chance. However, I do have 100% status chance, and I'm using Power Drift and Blind Rage. That's 215% power strength, and with this I have a 100% status chance to inflict a bleeding proc on the enemy for 10 seconds. Now, so far this actually sounds awesome until you realise I have 215% power strength and the overall damage is only about 300 and something. Yeah, not that great. The overall concept of her is absolutely amazing. I'm really enjoying playing her at the moment. She is absolutely phenomenal. However, for me, she just needs an extra 100 damage on everything, and then a little bit better math on the scaling. So far she is really good, but the majority of her damage comes from, it's almost like her passive. Basically, if you do not equip a melee weapon, you get to use those wondrous claws and you get to turn her into Valkyr basically. However, it's a Valkyr that can tank a little bit more effectively, heal herself, heal allies, and when you're running low on energy, don't worry about it, you can just sacrifice a little bit of health. So she's a bit more of a sustainable Valkyr, but she's lacking a lot more in the damage. But that being said, she is so much fun to play, and I definitely am enjoying her, and I would definitely recommend her as well. So let's have a little gander at the build. Now, I will admit I have not done my usual trick of swapping out the polarity in the aura. I have kept it so we can use Still Charge, Power Drift, Adaptation, Constitution, Hunter Adrenaline, Prime Continuity, Prime Flow, Fleeting Expertise, Blind Rage and Vitality. And just to show the claws that I'm using, I've got Vermilion Storm, Prime Pressure Point, Primed Fury, Condition Overload, Buzzkill, Vicious Frost, Voltaic Strike, Volcanic Edge and Virulent Scourge. Thank you very much. Hope to see you guys pretty darn soon. Have fun, don't die, it's bad for the